Hello everyone, it's Harmony, and welcome to the visual raid guide for the Ascension Arcadia Championship Light Heavyweight M4. Just as a quick note, you can fall off the edge of the arena, so avoid getting too close to the edges. Wrath of Zeus is a group-wide attack that deals unavoidable damage to all party members. Healers, be ready. When the boss casts Sidewise Spark, you will need to see which side of the boss is pulsing with lightning and has electrope cubes hovering around it. This will indicate an incoming half-room cleave on the corresponding side, and you will have to stand on the opposite side to avoid taking damage. The boss will then cast Shadow's Sabbath, causing rings to form, slowly revealing clones of the boss. These clones will mimic the Sidewise Spark attack in the order they appear before removing themselves from the battlefield. Wicked Jolt is a tank buster that deals heavy damage to the target in a linear area of effect. Use defensive cooldowns and shields to mitigate it. The tank will need to move away from the group to avoid overlapping damage. The boss will leap to the central edge of the arena before casting Stampeding Thunder, targeting 3/4 of the battlefield. This will deal damage to any player within and will collapse the arena on the 5th strike. You will need to locate the section of the battlefield not being hit by this attack and quickly move towards it. The boss will then jump to the center of the remaining battlefield before casting Threefold Blast. 3 circle markers will appear on the boss's gun, indicating the direction and order of each incoming linear area of effect blast. You will need to memorize this pattern and stand on the opposite side to avoid each strike. The boss will then eventually use 4-fold blast. However, other than the number of attacks, the mechanics remain the same. The boss will then target players with circular area of effects after the final blast, which you must maneuver between. The battlefield will then return to normal. Wicked Bolt will mark one player with a stack marker. The party will need to stand together to share the incoming damage. The boss will gain wings, leap to the central edge of the arena, and cast Bewitching Flight, forming purple beams on the wings. You will need to position yourself between these beams to avoid taking damage. These beams will leave behind a trail scorched onto the battlefield. Each of these lines and the tiles next to them will begin to crackle with a growing lightning visual before shortly exploding. You will need to move away from each of these lines as they show signs of this visual. Meanwhile, the boss will also target players with circular area of effects, which you must maneuver between. The boss will jump to the center of the battlefield before casting Shadow's Sabbath again, causing 4 rings to form, slowly revealing clones of the boss. These clones will mimic the Sidewise Spark attack in the order they appear before removing themselves from the battlefield. The boss will also finish this off with a Sidewise Spark of their own. So remember to pay close attention to the boss as well while maneuvering between the clones. The boss will then use a combo of Stampeding Thunder and begin to cast 5-fold Blast, similar to before, after which all players will become targeted with a circular area of effect for unavoidable damage, spread out to prevent overlapping damage from one another. The boss will regain their wings before casting Shadow's Sabbath again, causing a single winged clone to appear. The boss and the clone will each use Bewitching Flight for a synchronized attack. You will need to stand between the beams of both the clone and the boss to avoid taking damage. These beams will still leave behind a trail that will grow before exploding. You will need to move away from each of these lines before they explode. The boss will then cast Witch Hunt, forming circular area of effects around the battlefield in rapid succession, which will explode in the order they appear. You will need to quickly maneuver into the first circle to appear after it has detonated to avoid taking damage. Soaring Soul Press will mark one player with a stack marker. The party will need to stand together to share the incoming damage. These mechanics will repeat until the final Stampeding Thunder, at which point the boss will begin to only use Wicked Hyper Cannon. This will mark one player with a stack marker. The party will need to stand together to share the incoming damage. In between wicked hypercannon attacks, the boss will also target random players with circular area of effects which you must avoid. This will repeat until the boss is down. I hope you've all been doing well. Thank you for watching. And if you've enjoyed the videos, please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, take care of yourself and each other.